Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you can guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6.
Today we're going to be talking about luxury rail travel. It all started with George Pullman, didn't it?
Yes, the man who began luxury train travel was called George Mortimer Pullman. He was born in the USA on the 3rd of March, 1831, the son of a builder. However, when he arrived in Chicago in 1859, he spent his first few years there raising offices and houses and constructing new foundations. This was necessary because much of the Chicago area was only a meter or so above the level of Lake Michigan, and the streets were often flooded. Pullman took the money he earned from this and moved on to develop a new venture, railroad carriages. Pullman began by remodeling 2 standard passenger carriages into sleeping carriages. His first service was between Chicago and Bloomington, Illinois. Heating came from wood-burning stoves and the light from candles. Steam heating replaced the wood stoves only in the 1880s, and electric lights came in the 1890s. Business grew slowly but steadily until the Civil War. In 1862, he left Chicago for the Colorado gold fields, where he opened a store and in his spare time continued to develop his ideas about railway carriages. Returning to Chicago, Pullman constructed the Pioneer carriage in 1865, which became a classic in rail history. Orders began to pour in, and Pullman built a new plant on the shores of Lake Calumet, several kilometers from Chicago. Between 1880 and 1884, in an effort to make it easier for his employees, he constructed a town near the factory. All the houses were leased, employees weren't allowed to buy, and Pullman sold water and gas to his own workers at a 10% premium. The railroad carriage business made him a fortune. Pullman only leased his carriages, never sold them. With over 2,000 of them on the rails, his company was worth $62 million by 1893. When business fell off in 1894, Pullman cut jobs, wages, and working hours, but not house rents. His employees went on strike. This was eventually broken by government troops. Pullman's reputation was ruined. A government report condemned him for refusing to negotiate and for creating economic hardships for his workers. Pullman died in 1897.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10.
So, how are Pullman and the Orient Express connected? Well, it all started in 1868, when Georges Nagelmackers, the son of a Belgian banker, visited the USA, and while there, he traveled in the railway carriages built by an American called George Mortimer Pullman. He was very impressed, and on his return to Europe, Nagelmackers decided to start Europe's first luxury train service. This, in fact, took another 13 years because of problems in Europe, but finally, in 1883, he launched the Orient Express. The train consisted of 2 baggage cars, one for mail and the other to hold passengers' luggage. Then came 2 sleeping cars and the dining car, which was lit by gas chandeliers. The original route was from Paris to Romania via Munich and Vienna. In Romania, passengers were taken across the Danube to Bulgaria to pick up another train to Varna, from where they finished the trip to Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, by ferry. It wasn't until 1889 that there was a direct rail line to Istanbul. Then, in 1905, the journey time between Paris and Venice was cut when a tunnel, at just over 20 kilometers, the world's longest, was completed. This allowed the introduction of a more southerly route via Milan, Venice, and Trieste to Istanbul. The journey between Paris and Istanbul took several days. Passengers relaxed in their compartments, where they had wash basins and comfortable beds. The fares were very high, but then so was the level of comfort. The train was a great success. The Orient Express went into decline in the 1950s and 60s as air travel became cheaper and faster. However, it continued to operate until 1977. In 1982, the route was reborn when the company was bought by James Sherwood.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a phone conversation giving information about a health and fitness centre. Before you hear the talk, you have some time to look at questions. Hello?
Hello, is that Miss Heidi Jones?
Yes?
Good morning, Miss Jones. I'd like to take a few minutes of your time to tell you about the Seven Oaks Health and Fitness Centre, which is in your suburb. Would that be convenient?
Okay.
Well, the centre's not far from you. It's on the corner of Marion Street and Giles Street and has a large car park. It's open every day of the week, opening on weekdays at 6 a.m. and at 9 a.m. at the weekend. It closes at 9:30 p.m. Monday to Friday and on Saturday at 4 p.m. and Sunday at 2 p.m. We also have childcare Monday to Saturday from 9 in the morning until midday for a small extra charge, so you can leave your children in safe hands while you attend one of our classes, or perhaps have a swim, or if you just want to relax in the spa and sauna or steam room. Talking of classes, we have a very wide range which are designed to suit all different levels of fitness and individual needs. I mentioned the pool just now. Well, in addition to swimming laps or just relaxing, we also offer aqua aerobic classes, which are 45-minute classes that use the therapeutic effects of water. This provides a very safe and effective exercise and is suitable for all fitness levels, as well as being a lot of fun. Many people who haven't been exercising for a while start in the aqua classes, as do people who need to take care after hospital surgery, for example. These classes are very popular and are scheduled every weekday, Monday to Friday, and on Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning. Another very popular activity in the pool area is learning to swim, and these swimming classes are held at 4 p.m. every weekday and in the mornings at the weekend. By the way, they're open to both adults and children of any age.
Before the talk continues, you have some time to look at questions.
Now, it would take too much of your time to tell you in detail about all our programs, as we have a very wide range of activities at different times. However, I'll just outline some of them. Our Super Circuit classes are extremely popular, and you get a good aerobic workout while toning your muscles. They're easy to learn, as you combine using hydraulic equipment with exercises guaranteed to give you a good cardio workout. The teachers are very good and there's a fun atmosphere. And the classes are very effective in assisting weight loss, relieving stress, lowering blood pressure and generally increasing fitness. Oh, and I haven't mentioned our range of aerobic and step classes of different types which suit all levels. Our specially designed aerobics room holds over 55 people, and our highly qualified and trained staff can advise you as to which class might suit you. We are inviting you to a free 1-week trial period when you can come and try any of the classes or activities before you make the decision to join. By the way, there is also a large and very well-equipped gym where we offer free fitness assessments, and you can have an individual program designed just for you. Also, the cardiovascular room has the latest range of machines which help you burn fat, increase your fitness, or just warm up. They're very popular, as you can forget all about the calorie burning by watching your favourite music videos on TV while you exercise. Right now we have a very special new member joining fee offer, which allows 2 memberships for the price of 1, a real bargain. So if you can, bring along a friend who'd like to get fit as well in time for summer. Come along and try us out. You can meet the staff. Try out some of the classes for a week, absolutely free. And then, if you like us, sign up for only $110 each for 6 months. Thanks for taking the time to learn about the centre, and I hope we'll see you there soon, Heidi. I'll put one of our brochures in the mail for you right now. Bye for now.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You will hear 2 art history students, Chloe and Oliver, talking about the research they have done on the restoration and reproduction of old paintings. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Okay, Chloe, let's put the presentation together. What do you want to include in the introduction?
Well, we're looking at the restoration of old paintings and the reproduction, so we should begin with a definition to show how those two things are different.
Is that necessary? Let's start in a visual way. Show some paintings that have been restored and talk about why it was necessary. So, for instance, a painting that was damaged by water and another one by insects or by sunlight.
Okay, let's go with that. It'll get everyone's attention.
After the introduction, we should tell everyone about our museum visit.
Yes, it was great to see people restoring paintings in front of us. Did you know that most of the restorers we met didn't have a degree in art history? They'd done things like chemistry and archaeology. I never would have imagined that.
Me neither. I had no idea those kind of skills would be useful.
Apparently, a painting can take a year to clean.
I guess it would. And one guy I spoke to told me they're always experimenting, reading up on different ways to clean the paintings.
So, would you be interested in a career in art restoration? You know you don't actually need to be able to draw, so it might suit you.
Very funny. Look, I think it would be a great job, but I wouldn't choose to do it. You get to work in interesting places, that's true. I mean, sometimes you'd be working in a public place, like restoring the paintings high up on a church ceiling.
With the public watching?
I wouldn't mind that. But the thing is, when someone owns the painting you're working on, you've got to get it right. What if they didn't like the colors you'd used? Too much pressure.
True. Since we visited the museum, I've been researching other restored paintings. One was a Dutch landscape. It had been hanging in a museum for over 100 years, and everyone just thought it was a nice scene of people on the beach. And then a restorer started cleaning it and discovered someone had painted over a whale.
A whale?
Yes, the original artist had painted a whale on the beach, and later, I suppose the painting was bought by someone who thought the whale ruined a pretty scene, and they paid another artist to cover it up.
You must be right. Not everyone judges a painting in the same way, obviously. Anyway, we'll have plenty to say about restoration. What about digital reproduction?
Yeah, digital technology is having quite an impact on the art world. We can now reproduce famous paintings, and you can see something that looks just like the original.
I guess the difference between a digital reproduction and a fake painting is no one's pretending it was painted by the original artist. And what I like about digital reproduction is you could potentially make lots of copies so a wider audience can see them.
Maybe. I'd rather look at the real painting.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
Okay, so if we're talking about digital reproduction of art, we have to mention the company Factum Arte and how they reproduced famous paintings that had been lost or damaged so they can go on public display.
Good idea.
Let's note down the challenges the team faced. What about Vincent van Gogh's 6 Sunflowers? The original painting was destroyed. The team had a photo of it, but it wasn't very clear.
Right. They couldn't see how Van Gogh had used his brush. They knew the National Gallery had a nearly identical sunflower painting by Van Gogh, and so they had to ask the gallery whether the team would be allowed to study and scan it, so they could reproduce the brushstrokes in the right way.
They got approval in the end.
What about the concert? The original was stolen, right?
The team had a photo they could use, but the problem was it was a photo of the concert after someone had tried to touch it up with fresh paint.
And they'd done a terrible job, hadn't they?
Yes, but the team were happy with the reproduction in the end. We should mention the portrait of Sir Winston Churchill.
Churchill hated that portrait, so his wife burnt it and nothing was left.
So, The Factum Arty team had to search for the pencil sketches the artist had also made of Churchill as part of his preparation.
Right. For me, I was most interested in The Water Lilies.
By Claude Monet? In that case, the painting wasn't lost, but the top layer of paint had turned completely black because of smoke from a fire. The team had to work out what the colors beneath that layer had been.
And then there was Marito, a painting by Tamara de Lempicka. No one knows for sure what happened to the original. At least the team had a black and white photo they could work from.
But they needed to know what colors Lempicka would have used. And most of her other paintings are held in private collections. Because of that, they couldn't go and see them. That's a shame, because her work would have been...
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear a student giving a presentation about the challenges of living in space. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Hello everyone. So I'd like to tell you about some of the challenges of living in space. We'll start with the International Space Station, or ISS as it's often called. The ISS has been in space, in orbit around the Earth, since 1998. Over 200 astronauts have lived on board, and one of the biggest challenges for them is living in microgravity. So, what happens when you're living in microgravity 24 hours a day for months? For a start, it affects your blood circulation. On Earth, your blood would naturally be pulled towards your feet, but in space, it goes to your head. And we'll talk a bit more about the consequences of that later. But it also goes to your chest, and that's why astronauts have to be careful about their blood pressure. Microgravity also affects the minerals stored inside your body. Over time, for example, the amount of calcium inside your bones begins to decrease, so the bones become weaker. Yes, it's not much fun living in space. The astronauts have to maintain a very strict exercise program. They do 2.5 hours of exercise 6 days a week. If they don't, what happens is that their muscle begins to waste. Some of it also turns into fat. And one final problem that some astronauts experience, they find that when they get back to Earth, they can't see clearly. Scientists aren't exactly sure why this happens, but it seems that the astronauts' vision can be permanently affected. Another challenge with living in the ISS is you have to take everything you need with you. So space agencies like NASA are constantly improving the way they recycle things. Water, of course, is a vital resource, and every little bit counts. That means that even the sweat that the astronauts produce is recycled. I know that doesn't sound very nice, but NASA says their water is purer than anything you'd drink on Earth. So, what's next? Humans are already living in space, in the space station, but now the goal is to live on the Moon, or Mars. For this, we need to make buildings, and the challenges for engineers and architects are even harder. It's incredibly expensive to transport materials into space, so they need to be as light as possible. The alternative is to use materials which already exist on the Moon or Mars, and this does seem to be the sensible way forward. So to make buildings on the moon, for example, we could use rock. And the moon also has plenty of useful minerals. These can be made into metal, into brick. And some engineers are also suggesting they could produce paint. So it seems everything we need for a basic building might already be on the moon. Actually, there's one thing that NASA hasn't managed yet, and that's to increase the size of the windows on the ISS. They're very small, and if people were going to live in buildings on the moon, this is something NASA still has to work on. So, even if we managed to create a network of buildings for people to live in on the moon or Mars and grow food and be self-sufficient, they would still need mental stimulation and opportunities to relax and stay in touch with what was happening back on Earth. Virtual reality could be the answer. Imagine you're living on the moon, but you could use virtual reality to walk around a museum and see all the exhibits. That would be incredible. And by using virtual reality, you could continue your education by, say, studying for a qualification that might be useful in your current environment or once you're back on Earth. Now, Mars is a different thing.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you get guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.